coming at you again with what I think is my favorite melee build, and probably also my most flexible and optimized melee build. It can win against a lot of different playstyles. And I think it's only going to get better after the Coral Shield gets nerfed in the next patch. But this one is more tanky than a lot of melee builds, but strikes a really nice balance in speed. It can reach 450, a little bit over in AB thrust or speed, and its passive speed still over 300. It is reasonably tanky, which you can see in the stability here. It's got 665 stability, which allows us to trade into some pretty surprising combos, like bazookas are very easy to eat if you want to just guarantee a pulseblade thrust, for example. And it also has some of the biggest damaging combos. So the laser slicer pulseblade combo is able to reach, like with my missiles and Zimmerman, able to reach 20,000 or more damage in a melee punish if the enemy tries to bail out with their expansion armor. But more often than not, it's more around like, I don't know, 15 to 20,000 is kind of the range, but either way, it's devastating enough to finish off tanks. The two weapons synergize extremely well in cooldown. You can see if I do the pulse blade into laser slicer, it's not completely off cooldown, but by the time I do the weapon swap, it is. If I do the long chain combo of the slicer, which is just this one, it is off cooldown right away, so even better. And the pulse blade has a really good chase down thrust, like the thrust tank, the charge attack, plus a very good faster come out one that doesn't have a mini stun but is better for kiters that tend to be able to duck your charged pulse blade with a QB, so you can just do the quick lunge. And finally, for enemies that tend to kite horizontally, like moving counterclockwise is a very common strategy against the pulse blade. If you got really fast movement speed, you've got the laser slicer's charge attack, which has a really deceptive range, and it more importantly slashes counterclockwise, which is really nice. So I catch a lot of people with that. It also has a mini stun and also has a very high amount of impact, although no real accumulative impact. So if it doesn't trigger the stagger, then you kind of hooped. Yeah, the two, like both melee weapons have their places for initiating, and then finally the laser slicer can parry kicks by using the charge attack. When it's in front of you, it'll prevent you from getting mini stunned. It also works really well for vientos because it has impact reduction of around, I think, 40%. So you can use it to trade into a viento magazine exchange and get the mini stun into Zimmerman plus the javelin most likely. And yeah, both the melee weapons can be the initiators, and the other one is still an extremely high amount of damage in the punish, plus the other one's likely going to be very close to, if not already off cooldown, by the time you finish your first one and they try to armor and you counter armor. You're usually good to go for your next melee weapon. So you can just sustain your offense as long as you've got energy to do your melee thrusts really aggressively. Talking about the build pieces here, because this was very deliberate, the crawler gives us the best amount of stability in stats and speed for the energy supply efficiency, which this build's one weakness, I would say, is it's right on the line of enough EN supply efficiency. So I tried experimenting with the more tankier legs here, the hull legs, but that 400 EN really is noticeable. So you could play with a couple options, but I found this one gave me the stability that I was trying to keep it close to 1700, which is a really nice threshold to meet. So that's for the crawlers. They also do have a not too bad jump distance for given their weight. Kakaku's a no-brainer. I'm running melee thrusting, so that's be no surprise. You really do need the Ocellus. I did try experimenting with the Talbot and also, funny enough, the P10 to make the javelin faster, because I was reasoning the shotgun is mostly just for stagger extensions, but for kiters, we just really need the Ocellus. So trust me on this one, it's worth it. Santai for capacity and regen time. Assault armor is for preventing pulse armor and other pulse armors against opponents. So we want to be able to daisy chain our two melee weapons into guaranteed combos, which you'll see in the PvP shortly. Basho arms for damage. Alba is optional. You could play with a couple other ones. You really need the booster efficiency to be able to dodge while A-being towards your opponents and not bankrupting your EN. But this one had a really nice balance in stability. I think this one, it doesn't have quite as much, but you could choose if the 50 or so points is worth it, and the speed is worth it, and the EN's worth it. You will have a slight delay in your EN recharge delay, though, and I found that weakness was very noticeable. But you could make this argument depending on your opponent type. Could also go with the ephemera, but again, that booster efficiency, I think it's more important to make the most of your of your EN's tank rather than to try to get it back too quickly. They're both important, but I think that one takes priority over. So that's how I ended up with this one. But you could definitely swap that one out. I feel like this is the most flexible. Kassar versus the Knockhead. We're going for extreme light. Again, we want to stay above 300 boost speed and get as much stability out of it as possible. And both of these heads are really nice. The difference being the Kassar has better scan distance to help me get the Javelin pre-locking on before I go in for my initiation. But you can squeeze out some more EN supply efficiency if you use this head, or change it up. There's a lot of good heads, to be honest. I mostly just go for aesthetic, let's be honest. But I did like the look of both of them, and yeah, honestly, even to this day, I kind of swap between the two, so you can play around with that. Weapons-wise, something else to point out about the Javelin is you can use it to get around shields, which is, other than the Coral Shield, which is a really cool feature for melee builds because they really suffer against those shields. So you can poke them at range with this until they've built up a little bit of impact, and then go in, and then even if they parry your initiation, it's usually not going to matter. Zimmerman is for stagger extension, so once we land the pulse blades mini stun and shotgun them, that will either trigger the stagger. If the pulse blade triggers the stagger, then we can do the weapon swap while the shotgun holds them in the mini stun for a little bit longer, giving us enough time to complete the weapon swap. You're going to be doing a lot of shotgun, missile, and weapon swap at this, like, simultaneous presses at the same time. So L1, R1, and R2 at the same time with this build. You will obviously be using the missile at range more though, but there are a lot of times you're going to find that you want to do all three of those buttons at the same time after landing the pulse blades mini stun in order to line up the slicer. So yeah, that is the main weapon choices. The slice, forgot to mention one more tidbit about the slicer that's really cool, which is the long duration animation. In addition to helping your pulse blades cooldowns and synergizing that way, it also helps you get a head start on your impact regeneration. So if I stagger them and I start doing the laser slicer combo, I also it's so long that I can actually get a lead on getting that impact to start regenerating back. So it's almost like a little self heal here. I'll just turn on the offense here, and I'm gonna just trigger a stagger here. So watch the slicer here. So you can see that my impact regenerates. So yeah, you could almost think of this weapon as like a little life steal if you think of impact as life. So yeah, really cool mechanic. Okay, so I have a funny little trick to show you. This guy is really tanky, so he's using terminal armor though, which is a mistake for this. Because I'm going to use, if my pulse blade to shotgun, if that doesn't stagger him, I'm going to use the armor to trigger the rest rather than the slicer, so that I get the whole slicer's punish guaranteed. That's assuming he can tank it, mind you. The Javelin shotgun pulse blade is, as long as you finish with the pulse blade, is guaranteed 21, assuming you don't time them all to capture the impact window, and you only get the accumulative impact of the Zimmerman and the... Oh, come on, how did I walk right in? I feel bad for that. Actually, that's not even including the kick now that I think about it. Alright, so he's not tanky enough anyways. Okay, if he went the heavier tank legs, I would have used the assault armor to finish the stagger and get the whole guaranteed slicer. If you're going to run a tanky build, you really got to run the pulse armor. It's, unless they're like, I don't know, kiters, I guess. I mean, even still, the ability to not take one punish is kind of important. Let's fade out those miniguns a bit. Right, what do we have this time? Earshot. Okay, interesting. Obviously trying to zone a bit. and use, I assume, the redshift as a punish, but if I dodge that earshot, he's hooped. Because I can go right through that redshift. Or moonlight, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It's not enough stability to bust through my 1600 and so. Yeah. Yeah, see, I just erred on the side of caution there. Man, I love the cooldown synergy, these two weapons, as you can see there. Oh no. Jam this guy because he's using the coral oscillator bug to dramatically increase the tracking. So what we're going to try to do here is try to bait out the coral oscillator by A being in, but then quickly Q being back when he starts the animation. So we want to stay at about 300 meters to outrange it, and then we'll go back in. If he rushes us, then we'll just go for the pulseblade mini stagger. How did I not get a hit there? I know he's trying to go for the oscillator, but... There we go. Now he's got to come to us. There we go, bait that out. Coral. Okay, let's try another type of opponent here. This one's using a Ransetsu and earshot kiting build using verticality, so he's going to be using the 001 booster here to try to stay above us. So we're going to try to rush him down with the AB thrust in. He doesn't have too much stability, so the javelin I might want to delay firing until I'm really close, so that if I get staggered while trying to go for the pulse blade, the javelin comes around and hopefully counter staggers. Let's see though. I'm gonna make him burn some energy here. Ah, dang it, he fired too.
AP at 30%.
Alas. Caught that second earshot. I just need to AB in and focus on the shotguns, I think. This time I probably should take the height early. I don't know why I came in from the ground. That was a mistake. We need to fight for the height. And try not to AB in until absolutely necessary. Ah, come on.
AP at 30%.
There we go. Just gotta outlast the energy. When he falls, go for the pulse blade. Dang it, I fired that way too early. Let's get the stability back here. There we go. There we go. No, I missed the javelin in the Ah, dang it.
At 30%.
Come on, get me energy back. There we go. Ooh, hard fought. Those earshots are scary. You don't have a ton of health with this build, that's for sure, so you can't afford to make too many mistakes. Maybe 1 or 2 max. Okay, he's going impact build up, but slower. The Haldeman's going to be relying on landing more than 1 shot, and the Huxleys are over time, so the quicker we can stagger him, the better. The nice thing about this combo again and being this tankier build is I can afford to trade longer and trade into things that are more dangerous. And with the javelin here, if we time this, he shouldn't be able to survive this. It's 21 stagger. I don't think he can. Minimum, by the way. That's not including kicks or the javelin being perfect. All right, that was I think that was a flawless round. 9-3-3-0. I think that was flawless. Yeah. All right. He really has to rush us down and not let me get this javelin off. Come on. Alright, missile and shotgun here into pulse blade. Okay, it didn't even matter, but yeah, fire the missile and shotgun at the same time before you engage the pulse blade's attack. So weapon swap, it's basically L1, R1, R2 all at the same time, and then make sure you've finished all 3 of those before you slam the L2 down. Pulls bazooka and a defensive laser blade. He's going to try to keep range and use the laser blade to zone us out. We could use height, but honestly I think the pulse blade will be quick enough on the draw. I'm going to try to approach him from an angle downward though. That would be preferable if I can arrange it. Using the missile, my own missile, to try to soften him up though. Those homings are going to sweep around behind me though. But I got to be ready for that. Let's try to cut him. Ah, dang it. Missed it. That's unfortunate. I don't know why he let me get the whole slicer combo off. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered, but I am curious. Some people, yeah. I don't know, they just don't react. Alright, so the laser, yeah, the laser slice or laser sword is zoning me out a little bit more than I anticipated, so I'm gonna try to drop down here. I was trying to bait the laser sword. At the very least, I'm getting him tucked into the corner though. Oh, it's a shame that he managed to get my animation done, but doesn't matter again. I got the follow-up damage. Round 2. You know, I kind of wonder if I AB in and then I break lock when he starts the laser sword and then AB at an angle upwards, if that, or even QB upwards, I could break his FCS and make the laser sword miss, because it is really weak on the tracking. His build's not bad, but it does really suffer when I have a build this aggressive. Yeah, that time I knew he was just gonna go over me. So I just saved the pulse blade until he finished. Oh, that was really unfortunate. Okay, so we got a kiting terminal armor user, so I'm going to use this to guarantee one punish. Meaning, and I'm going to make the big one the slicer here. So as soon as he staggers me and goes in for the punish, I'm going to armor and use the big punish there. I could also just open up with that. Maybe let me just try playing the defensive style first. Remember, with kiters, you don't want to get too aggressive with the pulse blade because you need to burn up a lot of energy of theirs. There we go. So we just want to AB in and shotgun. And use the javelin. So I'm not going to fire the javelin early this time. I'm going to try to... Because I know he's just going to run. I want to close the gap first so he can't outrun the javelin's range. Let's wait till we're nice and close. There we go. Ooh, I missed the armor. That's unfortunate. I wonder why he backed up with his terminal armor. That was a weird choice. Yeah, so that's how we take on guiders. Alright, he wants round 2. I tried swapping over the Talbot here. I'm going to play around and see if this thing is still able to track quick enough against this booster. It's not the Alula, so I should probably be able to get away with it. Ah, the Slicer, interesting. Might be trying to open up the Slicer when I get too greedy on the chase, and then try to get the mini-stun on me, so I'm going to go up if that happens. But other than that, nothing's changed. Yeah, This is fine. When you're playing against these cutters, you just really gotta take your time with the Zimmerman. Make sure the crosshair is locked on, because you don't want to miss it. You know, you don't want to shoot it right as they dodge. Thought it was on there, but okay. I don't know where my javelin was, but... Okay, one more ought to do it. Okay, so he's trying to accommodate his build here a little bit. He's running the Scutum. I think he's not gonna be able to quick burst then. So I think what I'll do is I'll use the pulseblade to bait him out into dodging, and then he won't have the Scutum anymore. The javelin also hits behind him as well, so if I can move laterally, then that should also be really useful. Yeah, but only one shock pistol. Okay, interesting. Okay, wasn't tricky at all. A Tetra. Heavy boy. Those miniguns too. Let's try to time this missile. Ah, missed the shotgun. That was close. We do have enough to stagger though if I time the initiation properly. Let's overheat that minigun a little bit here. Ah, missed the... Oh, that was really unfortunate timing. Whew, just enough to pull it out of the hat. Yeah, those cooldowns constantly syncing up is choice. Okay, and Alula Laser kiter, most likely, based on those legs and weapon choice. So I'm gonna not overdo the melee thrusting here. I'm gonna try to soften him up with just the A being in Zimmerman javelin at first. Try to conserve my energy. I might even just be willing to take a lot of hits for free here to close the gap. Just got to secure one combo against that. Also using the non-charge attack of the pulse blade, if you can soften them up enough, like maybe land 2 Zimmermans in the javelin or 1 Zimmerman in the javelin, that's usually enough to make the faster thrust of the yeah, faster thrust of the pulse blade's light attack, basically undodgeable even for fast kiters.